law 同埋係 criminal law 啦，喺民事同埋係刑事啦。即係弟兄你係嚟主要馬來西亞啦。咁呢個國家嚟講就係有宗教法，香港就冇宗教法。咁所以就呢伊斯蘭本身呢個嘅金融嘅管理啦。咁其實喺世界上面嚟講係一個比較開明。呢個本身都係同意，就係比係嗰啲嘅猶太人啊同埋西方咧用金融嘅方法咧就出錢啦。咁問題一樣嘢係對於我哋local嘅香港人，我哋習慣咗係嗰個係 civil law 同埋criminal law。咁唔係咁明白就你馬來西亞本身有個嘅係宗教法啦。咁另外嗰個嘅香港嗰個嘅銀行嗰個嘅 banking service 啦，因為呢幾年啦，政府咧嗰個管理咧就好嚴格嘅，就食到銀行嗰個嘅譬如存款啊、匯款啊，一定全部咗晒記錄嘅。因為咧恐防啦，啲錢咧流咗去嗰啲咁樣嘅恐怖組織。咁但係咧你馬來西亞本身嚟講，你哋國營嗰啲嚟講啦，咁都有個嘅管理。但問題咧，我哋香港人就唔係咁認識呢啲伊斯蘭方面嗰個投資嚇。個問題咧係因為我哋基本上咧就係嗰個係民事同埋刑事。我哋香港所熟悉係呢兩個嘅issue嗰個 criminal law 同埋嗰個 civil law。即係對香港嗰個嘅金融管理局，基本上係呢樣嘢啦。但係你哋馬來西亞本身嚟講咧，就係普通啲就係嗰個嘅係宗教法啦。咁問題呢啲係唔係我哋香港人可以認識嘅？就算我哋係要參與你哋係喺伊斯蘭嘅或者係馬來西亞喺香港嘅銀行，即係銀行嘅服務啦，我哋本身都唔係咁識裏邊嗰啲嘢。咁其實係主要係咩？係嗰個宗教法嗰個問題咯。
I think
his observation.
Actually, he mentioned that he does. In fact, in general speaking, we do not really know much about the Malaysian law regarding on Sharia. Okay, so we used to understand what is going on in our country, in our city, or even all around the world. But it seems that Islamic Sharia is quite strange to every one of us here. So I think the answer is we have to know more, and we need to have more scholars like you to come to Hong Kong to share with us, right?
I think basically because his observation is that the situation is different more or less in Hong Kong and Malaysia. Because more or less because in Malaysia we know more about Islamic law, but in Hong Kong most of the time you are ignorant of Islamic law. Yeah? And the practices of Islamic banking might not be that easy. Not really, to be very frank with you. You'll be very surprised to learn that Islamic banking in Malaysia, we have to fit ourselves into the British law system. We do not have a specific law made everything for Islamic banking, no. We use the Sharia, we practice it, we do the Islamic banking, but we, people like me, has to go to the court and argue Islamic banking. Hello? Okay. Now, the system is like this. We have a Sharia law for that. For the Muslims, yeah? We have Islamic banking products offered by Islamic Bank. We have any problem, we still go to the High Court. We still go to the Civil High Court. We still have to use the civil law, the British law, to argue the whole thing. But we have to convince the judge that this is an Islamic law and this is a Sharia product that I mentioned just now, and the situation is like this. And that is the reason why it doesn't matter whether you are in Hong Kong, you are in Malaysia, you are in Australia, we all go back to the same situations. And that is why lawyers like me, we have to make sure that every time you have all these products, the contracts that we have entered into can go to the court no matter where you are. Okay? There was a US case where the US involving some Islamic banking product dispute. Guess what? The US judge recognized the practice that we've done in the agreement, and he says that nobody can go against the Sharia laws that we mentioned in that contract. See, that is the situation throughout the whole world today. Unless if you go to the Middle East, maybe in some of the Arabian countries, things will be better. But outside Arab Peninsula, basically all of us have to make sure that we talk about Sharia, we put those things in agreements, we sign the agreements, we go to the court, the judge will recognize those things. That is how we do that. So it doesn't say that thing will be different in Hong Kong. No, to be frank, in Malaysia we are also the same situation. It's just that we have to make sure that that's what Sharia says. You have to put down everything that has been agreed by the parties to make sure people will know their own responsibilities and their rights.
或者講少少啦，其實馬來西亞咧曾經都係英國殖民地嘅地方，咁所以咧佢哋好多嘅法律咧其實都係同我哋香港以往即面對嘅係一模一樣嘅。咁所以我哋即係試過，譬如喺馬來西亞讀Islamic law 啊，或者係commercial law 啊，即係商業法嗰啲咧，其實全部都係引用英國例子嘅。咁只不過咧喺馬來西亞咧，佢會再加多一個嘅元素落，就係伊斯蘭嘅元素。咁所以譬如頭先我哋都講過，其中一個元素就係，譬如我哋做 Islamic 即係我哋 contract 嘅時候，一定要唔可以有欺詐成分。咁呢啲我哋會喺裏邊，同埋一定要係要公平嘅原則。咁呢啲係另外再加上。咁所以正常嚟講咧，應該係 Islamic banking 佢本身嗰個嘅rules 嗰啲咧，其實會再高層次一啲嘅。咁佢其實係會 cover 基本上。咁但係如果嗰個嘅法律同宗教法係有違背嘅咧，咁就一定係以伊斯蘭法嗰個就係為首嘅。即係譬如頭先講，我哋話有欺騙成分咁喺 Islam 嚟講咧，嗰張 contract 其實就已經係唔合法嘅啦。
Assalamualaikum. From my understanding, for Islamic loans, say I want to borrow money from you for like education and whatnot, then you'd sell me your products and a deferred payment, and you buy it back from me, right? So, is it not?
It isn't always that way.
Okay, but because this is one of the UK loans from HSBC.
Malaysia is.
Yeah. So is that really halal? As in,
I like the questions. Okay, the brother is asking, his understanding of Islamic banking is like, I have something, I sell it to you, okay, that is immediate instance, and then after that, buy back, buy in progressive installments, yeah? Whether that is very halal? Well, firstly, that practice is not for all Islamic banking throughout the world, okay? That is only acceptable by the Shafi'i mazhab, okay? The idea of buy it to you and then immediately, I sell it to you and then immediately I buy it back from you by installment times. That is only acceptable by the Shafi'i mazhab. Okay, the other mazhab say no to that. Okay, and that is why that practice more or less you see very common in Malaysia. Okay, the UK, the way you mentioned, is using the murabahah that I mentioned to you just now, the amanah sale. Okay, the only thing is that the payment is now progressive. Okay, that's a different situation altogether. Okay, but the main argument here is most of the ulama says that you cannot allow that kind of back-to-back selling, yeah, because of the interpretation of one particular hadith. But the Shafi'i says that that interpretation is slightly different than this situation, and that's why they allow that. Okay, they become very, very, very advanced now actually. But generally speaking, Islamic banking doesn't mean that alone. We have a lot of other products. Even in Malaysia today, even when I'm speaking with you today, I'm changing a lot of Islamic banking products to different one now. No more using that. Okay, so in 2-3 years from now, inshallah, all the products in the market will no more using that.
Oh. 我想用普通话问题，我只是说，因为身为一个穆斯林，只是问生活上的一些跟金融的有一些关系的问题。比如说，如果我是一个穆斯林，我买这个保险，意外保险、人寿保险，有这个 saving 的成分在里面，就是那间保险公司也会背后做一些用钱赚钱的。那我是这样做的话，是不是 haram 呢？另外，如果我每个月有小小的钱，我把它投资外币，或者是把它月供的基金，也是钱赚钱，那只是在我的脑袋里面，我只是用钱保值 ，OK， 就是那是不是也是 haram 的呢？ So actually her question is it life insurance which have the saving concept inside is allowed in Islam or not? And the second question is, for state life she have some extra money, so she invests in currency. So is it also acceptable?
Good question. For the insurance portions, unfortunately the answer is definitely no. Okay, I have been asked this question because when I was I have been giving talk about Islamic banking and takaful for more than 10 years now. Okay, there was times that insurance company couldn't take it that we all criticize that insurance is not Sharia compliant. So I have a CEO of an insurance company, very prominent insurance company in the world, asked me this question in one of my talk, one of the days. He was saying that, can't I say that I am Islamic insurance, and so long as I invest the money in halal counter, take Sharia compliance? My answer to that is very simple. It will never be halal. Okay? Unlike Islamic banking. In the case of Islamic banking, you can say, I change the structure, it will be Sharia compliance now. In the case of takaful and Islamic insurance purpose, there is no such thing to say that insurance can be halal. Because insurance is a bilateral contract. In the case of bilateral contract, you cannot allow all those to. So the Sharia ruling is definitely haram. That is why you have all the fatwa telling you insurance is haram. But why do we say that we allow takaful? Because takaful is unilateral contract and there is a donations element there. Okay? So for the purpose of insurance, for that purpose, it's not easy to say that it will become halal just because the company invests in, you know, whatever they want to do. Because yes, firstly, they might invest in non-Sharia compliance counter. Secondly, it's still money, getting money. The 钱赚钱 that you mentioned. Okay, so that on that basis, not possible. Okay, but for the saving portion, the foreign money, forex investment, so to say, yeah, forex investments basically, if you are buying the US currency or anything on spot basis, it's permissible. So you buy the money, you keep it, you know, maybe like if you go to, I think like Citibank has this Citibank forex account investment. So you buy the US dollar and the money being kept in the US in the account itself. Yeah? Generally speaking, the ulama today says we are permissible for that because it's a spot buying. But if you are buying the foreign currency forex on the purpose of speculation, or you are using speculation purpose, totally haram. Because there is a speculation element there.
So sorry, I come back to practice. For say like now we're in Hong Kong, we don't have takaful. So how can we protect our life? For say there's an accident, we will not get any thanks for our family, right? Secondly, how to define speculation? For say like if I just put the money, for say, of course many people, like today we see the US dollar going up, so we sell it. After a few days, it goes down, so we buy it again. So does it mean speculation or investment? How to define?
Good questions. Question number one, it's not easy for us Muslims living in a community when you don't have any of those products available for you. Takaful or Islamic banking. What you can do is, for the purpose of banking, I always say this, it is more or less like a darurat because you have no other options anymore. Okay, so you can put the money into non-Islamic bank. You get a profit. The profit portions, donate it out. Because you need to put it in the bank. I don't want you to put the money in your pillow in the house. Alright? So put it into the bank for safekeeping purpose. The extra portions that you have, donate it out. Okay? Because your idea is protections. Alright? Similarly, if you buy the insurance, because you have no takaful here. Yeah, I don't want you to go all the way to Saudi Arabia to buy takaful over there. What's the purpose? Alright? So now, if you really have to get, because you have a lot of options, you really have to go for the insurance and whatnot. Fine, get the protections. But remember, that idea of it is the protections, and try to look for those insurance package that actually cover a lot of your investment. So it's your own investment, but the thing is, remember this, the investment, you do not know what company you're talking about here. So I still say that one of the best is still that one of these days, go for those Sharia compliance protection schemes. It doesn't have to be insurance, but it can be a protection scheme offered by the relevant authority. It's not easy, I know, it's easy for me to say, but not easy for you to see that. But the main thing is, remember this, Takaful is actually operated by the members. It's not from the company. Okay, so that of course is easy for me to say, but not easy to be done. But other than that, unfortunately, because the main reason why it's so outright protected by the insurance being prohibited by the ulama or the scholars, we call that, the very learned scholars and the muftis, is because most of the time, in fact 99% of the insurance company will invest the money in all those non-Sharia compliance of gambling, casinos and whatnot. So it's not easy for us to make it Sharia compliance. So personally, I'm telling you the truth is that if you really ask me, I would rather not to have it at all. Because even if, let's say, I pass away, the money is being given to my children, that money will have the haram portion inside. See, I personally would feel that I don't want to take it if I can. But if you really need to go for protections, then one of the only ways maybe is to actually do a balancing or cleansing, whatever money that you have, channels to the charity. Okay, that's one of the best ways for it actually. But I believe that only the movie can give you a definite answer for that. Generally speaking, that is the reason why we prohibit insurance contract.
Question. I was told the Western capitalist market or banks can survive because of earning interest and profits, but this type of finance doesn't take interest. So how can it survive? How can it survive? And second question is, I'm just curious because I'm not familiar with finance. If I study Western capitalist finance, capitalist finance, and Islamic finance at the same time, will I be totally confused?
I like those questions. Question number one is some questions that even my mother still asking me every day now. Because I always explain to her, I'm giving talk about Islamic banking, basically interest-free banking. Then my mom always says, interest-free banking. How can the bank survive? What did the bank earn then? Okay, simply put, Islamic banking can survive because it doesn't mean that the bank will not earn money. The bank still earn, they earn moderately, and they use whatever Sharia requires products to earn money lawfully. Okay, you still definitely earn, but the thing is, you can only earn those things that is lawfully permissible by the Sharia. Okay, so this is one thing that you have to remember. It doesn't mean that Islamic bank means you are a charitable bank, giving out money and never return. No, nobody would ever put money into Islamic bank, obviously. Yeah, but Islamic banking means that, okay, the bank will still be earning, but just that they earn the thing within the Sharia permissible transactions, and also moderately based on whatever risk that they involve in. Okay, so that is, I hope that explains your question actually. And that's why it is not suitable for us to say Islamic banking is interest-free banking. Incorrect. Okay, it's not that incorrect, it's that it will confuse people. Right? The only thing is that Islamic banking is what the Sharia or the Islam allow us to do. So we do believe the structure of it. Okay? The bank will still be earning money, but just that they earn moderately according to what the Sharia allows us to do. Okay? Now question number two, coming back to the idea that if you study those together, whether will you get confused or in a very blunt manner will you become insane because of that? Right? No, you will not. Right? The university that I'm from, the student, I did not study accounting and economics, Islamic finance for that, right? But the finance students have to study the conventional, the Western finance systems and also Islamic finance system together, all within the 4 years of study. Okay, so that means I have to study the British law, the civil law, and the Islamic law all within my 4 years of study as well. So it's not a problem. But I do have a lot of stuff because today I lecture for so many years now in the master program that the university offering. We have program that's a master in Islamic banking. open for most of the students coming from non-Sharia background even. Of course, we also have students graduate from Azhar University sitting in my class and become a master student to study that. It's still normal, but we also have students coming from non-Islamic background, and they study Islamic finance for the first time. And I don't see any problem with them. I mean, many of them move on, past the master program. Many of them are now, some even completed a PhD, or many of them are now writing their thesis for PhD in Islamic banking. So it's not a problem at all. And trust me, it's not that hard. It's not that confusing.
其實咧，伊斯蘭嘅銀行咧係唔會執笠嘅。點解咧？其實佢同普通銀行嗰個大嘅分別，即係 concept 上高，佢哋都係要攞咗嗰啲人嘅錢嚟去投資。不過佢投資嘅嘢一定要合法，即係譬如佢唔可以投資喺一啲酒廠啦、煙廠啦。甚至可能係一啲不合法嘅譬如賣豬肉啊嗰啲咁樣嘅嘢上高，咁所以佢都會拎錢去投資，咁投資咗咧，其實一樣就係做分嗰啲所謂叫 profit sharing 啊咁樣，咁所以佢哋係唔會賺錢，佢哋一樣會賺錢。不過我哋 guarantee 一樣嘢就係佢哋應該賺嘅錢係合法嘅，咁我哋亦都可以蝕得係收翻嚟嘅。
Just want to make some things about when we talk about Islamic banks not making profits. The misconception. I'll give you a classical example. In Malaysia, we have one particular bank which is a cooperative society. You know, like Herjose Income. Okay, so they use 100% Sharia compliance product. They invest really using Islamic banking model. Guess what? During the bad time crisis, 2 years ago, 2008, 2009 crisis situations, they can pay their member profit margin of 20% per annum. Last year they paid 18%. One of the particular year they even want to pay 25%. Government said, if you pay that, nobody will come to me anymore. Because the government fund also only paid 8% in Malaysia. That was the 8 is the highest that anybody can pay in Malaysia during that 2 years. Okay? But this particular cooperative bank paid 20% to their members because they invest, they do 100% Islamic banking product, and yet they can pay 20%. So if you look at that as an example, I don't see there's any problem for us.
Yeah, just want to understand a little bit about the economic policies from some of the Western governments, which they use interest rate as a method to control inflation, and in fact to actually allow the growth, of this economy by the use of interest rate. And obviously, for us, where we have, maybe earnings, and then let's say we put the money away in a safe place, what it does is, with this policy, will increase in value because of inflation. So how would you recommend us to counter such a problem?
Good, that's a very macro question. But let's put it this way. Many of us, we always questions like, if in the case of conventional banking, you have this monetary market for us to patch it, and therefore from there you decide the BLR for the purpose. Yeah? So under the situation, how do we go about in Islamic banking? See, this is the thing. Today is we actually have a complete international Islamic monetary market, where all the bankers will patch using the market as our benchmark. Okay, and for your information, like we talk about Dow Jones shares and Dow Jones Index, we have Dow Jones Islamic. Okay, and it is the benchmark that we all have been doing. Basically, it's simple. Whatever system that the capital market, capitalists can provide you, we come up with our Islamic versions that prove to be better. We don't use their formula. We use our Islamic formula, and we have a complete system for that. Okay, and trust me, that's why I said the fact that Dow Jones has had the Islamic counter index for us is an indication of something. Okay, and today, even you go to the New York Stock Exchange, they have the Islamic counter. Certified New York Stock Exchange actually has the Mufti sitting behind it to certify what are the counters that are Sharia compliant, even for that purpose. So if you think that Islamic banking, or you wonder how do we go about, trust me, it has all been moving on very fast. Alhamdulillah, a lot of work, we have achieved a lot of things, but blessing of the struggles that people have done in those days.
One question is coming to the mind of many people living in Hong Kong and some other part of the world where is this mortgage. Can we draw a parallel between the Islamic mortgage and the traditional way of mortgage?
Good questions. The general idea of mortgage that you have in Hong Kong or in most of the British systems, banking system, is that if you want to buy a house, you mortgage your house to the bank. Yeah? The mortgage itself is nothing against Sharia. Okay, because Sharia also said you can ask for things to be mortgaged. The only thing that we do not allow is your banking system is structured using that itself. Sharia says that if you want to receive a loan from the bank, the loan itself must be Sharia compliance transaction first. So it could be a DBA, by the idea that I mentioned to you, or it could be a borrower sales or anything. Then, to make sure that you pay, the bank will ask you to pledge the house as a mortgage. Okay, the pledge the house as a security for the purpose. Right? So the actual structuring of mortgage that you see in all your banks then is because they sell you, they give you the money to buy the house and that's it. Okay, and then the house is theirs if you do not pay the money. Or the house is registered under the bank's names until you finish paying the whole thing. Yeah? So that structure itself, we have a problem with it because the structure itself is money lending. Okay? We have no problem to say that the house must be kept by the bank as a security. That is fine. Okay? But the Islamic way of asking it is that you have to structure the things within the Sharia compliance mandate using any of the product that we use there. And then the house can be charged to you as a security. When I say be charged to you means that if the customer fails to pay the bank's money, then the bank has the right to sell off the house to pay the bank. That is fine because it's a security. Alright? So you might be asking, how do we do that? Well, we have a lot of products in the market now in Malaysia, Middle East, even in Indonesia, gearing up for that. One of the latest one that we have is the one that is offered by one of the banks in Malaysia, where the bank is your partner. The bank purchase the house together with you as a partner. Okay, which is very seriously. The bank buy the, sorry, my handphone has vibrations. Alright, so the bank buy the house together with you as partners. Okay, and the property registered seriously is actually under two names, the bank and you. Okay, and then the bank give you the right to redeem it every month, certain percentage of it. In such a way that after 10 years of paying, the house will be 100% owned by you. Okay? See how noble the idea is all about. The bank is. And yet the bank is making profit because the redemption itself will cover certain percentage of the bank's profit margin. See? So this is how one of the examples of how we do that. And I remember when that product was being launched 3-4 years ago, the bank has a very aggressive marketing strategy. And during Ramadan, our fasting month, the bank was having this radio commercial telling the Malaysians that from now on, we are no more your banker, we are your partner. And we grow and we achieve the work together with you.
首先咧就好多謝李律師。我估首先咧，我要向大家致歉啊，因為咧可能我哋嘅設備咧仲有好多地方改善空間，所以大家聽嘅時候可能會好辛苦。第二點咧就係呢一堂其實係一個即係比較好技術嘅一堂，尤其是有好多嘅專有名詞咧都係以阿拉伯文作為一個基礎嘅，所以咧其實係唔容易喺一堂咁短2個鐘頭咧，將一啲咁複雜嘅嘢咧向大家介紹。咁李律師你已經係好有技巧地咧，將一啲基本嘅知識咧向我哋介紹。我諗你哋明白到咧就希望喺1個鐘頭或者2個鐘頭之內咧係明白到一個咁複雜嘅制度。不過咧我只係想喺度咧提幾點啦。第一咧，可能尤其是嗰啲冇上初階嘅朋友咧，可能特別辛苦，因為咧對於話譬如伊 伊斯蘭喺個生活方式，佢嘅基礎係以古蘭經同聖訓同埋咧等等嗰個基礎咧，可能喺初階嘅時候我哋介紹過。另外一點咧就係、我哋講過伊斯蘭能力，其實嗰個金融咧，其實你不過而家已經可能 outdate 就簽 check 寫張支票咧，其實都係嗰啲穆斯林開始創新嘅。不過咧，你睇到歷史嘅話咧，其實就係喺殖民地或者西方嘅列強興起之後，即係話呢個工業革命之後啦，西方咧慢慢咧就係佢哋抬頭興起，統治呢個世界，將被全世界殖民化，好多地方殖民化。所以咧，以前伊斯蘭教嘅好多嘅制度咧，都喺嗰陣時候完全咧係被抹殺。到二次大戰之後，好多呢啲國家咧先至再慢慢地再獨立。咁所以咧，其實咧好多呢啲咁樣嘅同伊斯蘭教有關嘅制度等等咧，已經同時代咧脫節咗最少300年或者以上。舉個例呢個所謂叫做伊斯蘭金融呢啲咁樣嘅思潮咧，其實係上個世紀70年、80年代先至開始萌芽嘅，即係話咧呢啲嘅穆斯林嘅地區咧，將佢再重新獨立之後，嗰啲嘅知識分子咧再醒覺嚟之後咧，先再尋找佢哋嘅根，然後咧再建立起佢哋自己嘅新嘅制度。所以呢個伊斯蘭金融咧，可以話其實咧第一係嗰一個好新嘅慢慢發展緊嘅東西。另外你都睇到一點咧，就係、我哋現在咧都可能身處咗喺一個西方支配嘅世界嗰度，金融體系等等。但係當你見得到嘅話，呢、個資本主義雖然咧就係、共產主義已經唔需要再講，係唔能夠向佢挑戰。但係資本主義一枝獨秀都好，係咪呢個就係人類嘅福祉嘅或者我哋嘅救世主咧？你見得到咧就係令到貧者越貧，富者越富。華爾街嘅被佔領，你就知得到實際上佢製造咗好多不公平、不公義嘅地方。呢啲咁樣嘅制度係咪唯一嘅選擇？定還是仲有其他更好、令全世界更幸福嘅咧？咁樣伊斯蘭金融咧就係、可能會係一啲人嘅盼望，或者一個嘅另外一個選擇。或者唔講到咁大咁遠咧，或者起碼咧，我哋收集翻嚟，希望咧我哋呢一堂可能大家嘅內容未必完全消化得到。不過我想大家咧注意到一點就係話，所以伊斯蘭並唔係一個宗教。我應該講啊，伊斯蘭並唔係單止係一般人所想像或者理解嘅宗教，因為伊斯蘭教並唔係淨係一套信仰。而實際上，伊斯蘭教係一套完整嘅生活方式嚟，所以佢包括各方面。我哋講嘅伊斯蘭金融啊等等咧，其實嗰個精神係在於咧，我覺得可能係2、3年。其中一點就係講公義，唔係咧就係、銀行。其實現在嘅體系就係點解匯豐啲股票咁起咁高？就係佢賺好多，你賺好少啦，簡單講句，係咪？嗰度梗係有啲問題喺度嘅。可能我哋完全唔識嘅嚇，我哋讀理科嘅對呢啲都完全唔外行。不過你都知道有問題，係咪？好簡單。點解會金融風暴嘣一聲，所有你啲錢冚唪唥唔見晒？梗係有問題啦！啲大學食晒，咁點我哋點可以保護自己？你冇話保護自己喎，你有錢都好啦，唔知點搞喎。你賺到錢都好，儲到錢都好啦，點算咧？實際上，我哋現在身處嘅制度係有個，即係有好多地方，所以伊斯蘭教強調嘅就係要公平，同埋咧就係要我哋咧係用一種誠懇嘅態度去生活，而係唔去 speculation， 去現在嚟講話去投資，其實同去賭馬有乜分別啦？如果個人嘅心態都係賭，即係好彩我就食多啲，唔好嘅我咪食少啲咯。即係用咁樣嘅心態嘅時候，嗰啲人點會係一種和平嘅社會嚟咧？咁呢個咧先至係重要。 咁所以咧，我哋希望大家或者嚟參加呢個。